Aloha. Aloha, everyone across the world. Lotus Dawn here. And this is a very exciting time. Did you know that we are entering literally the most powerful peak potency for the fire horse year? And so today I would like to give you a deep dive revealing why and when the energy of the fire horse, the energy of freedom, of courage, of expansion, of activating our shine, really getting out there and really sharing the gifts of who we are, is at its all-time peak for the entire year of 2026. So stay with me, and we're going to go in. The first thing is looking at the seasons of 2026 and looking at the energetic of the fire horse. The fire horse in Chinese astrology represents yang fire, and yang fire in Chinese astrology is the sun. And the sun comes to its peak brightness for the Northern Hemisphere on June 21st, on the day of the solstice. So energetically, seasonally, we are aligning to the peak energetic of the fire horse. The fire horse also relates to the time of day, is high noon. And the solstice represents high noon energetically for the year for the Northern Hemisphere. Of course, for the Southern Hemisphere, this is flipped. And so the peak for your fire horse year is at your summer solstice in December. Okay, so to the auspices of today's call, I'm going to dive more into the Northern Hemisphere, as that is where I am located. So I'm going to dive into what does it mean for us to be diving into the peak of the fire horse year. Well, some of the things that fire horse, of course, represents in Chinese astrology. And for those of you that don't know, I am a True the Stars sidereal astrologer. I am also an energy healing practitioner. I utilize the information of the stars to tune into and identify core blockages, issues, challenges you may be having, and clear them at the root. And I've also started to take a deep dive into Chinese astrology because this is the year of the fire horse. And the fire horse to me speaks to expansion. It speaks to passion, courage, freedom. If you just imagine a horse galloping freely through the fields, there's a sense of joy, there's a sense of life force, and reconnecting back to our primal joy, our primal enjoyment of life itself, connecting into the rhythm of life, of what gives us happiness and what gives us joy. And so the fact that we're approaching the peak of that energy means that we may be encountering opportunities, people, places, events that are going to feel expansive, that may push us to grow, they may push us to expand, and it might involve travel because the horse, of course, loves to gallop and roam. And so not only is the fact that the summer solstice is approaching align with the fact that the horse resonates to high noon of the day, and what season is high noon of the year? It's the solstice, the summer solstice. And so energetically with the seasons, we are aligning to the peak of the fire horse. Additionally, in Chinese astrology, we are in the month of the wood horse. And so elementally, wood feeds fire. And interesting to note, we just came from 2 months of water months. So April is known as the water dragon. May was the yin water snake. And so April was a lot deeper and more intense energetically, combining with the fire horse. And then as we went into May, we went from yang water, which is deeper, more intense, more pressure, emotional pressure, into May was lighter. We started to take action. We started to come out of the depth. And now in June, we're in the wood horse. And so this is a very exciting year. I am now offering Chinese astrology readings. So if you're curious to know what your Chinese astrology, what we call Bazi chart is, I am now giving those readings, and they're incredible. Absolutely incredible. They lay out basically your 4 pillars, and your 4 pillars represent your year, which most people are very familiar with their Chinese astrology for the year. It also will tell you the month, which represents your career energy, your day, which represents your relationships, who your best partner would be, as well as your sort of core essence self, and then the hour, which represents your more hidden, internal, foundational self. And as I've been going deeper with the Chinese Bazi readings for myself and for my clients, I'm really blown away by what they can reveal. Is specifically one of the things they can reveal is our elemental composition, our elemental nature, which they describe that you're either fire, wood, water, earth, metal, the 5 elements. And what's interesting is that in these charts, they will then give you a percentage of your elements, like how much water you have, earth, wood, fire, and metal. And sometimes people's charts are incredibly deficient in one of these elements. And so you can actually supplement energetically via gemstones or colors or the objects of that element, having more of them around you. And I've actually been able to design how to dress in alignment to your Bazi chart, what colors to wear, what elements to emphasize to assist you to step into your greatest balance, ease, and expression. And as I've been experimenting myself, applying the information to myself, I'm just really blown away at how precise and how aligned it is. So if you're interested, if you would like to experience the Chinese Bazi for yourself, you can find all of my sessions at blossomwithlotus.com. Now, getting back to this month, June, and why this is literally the peak of the fire horse year. Again, I'll recap. One, we're approaching the solstice on June 21st, which is the high point of the sun. The fire horse is sun. That is its yang sun. When Chinese astrology says fire, it means the sun, the greatest light. So fire horse is code for sun horse. And so the peak of the sun is June 21st at the solstice. So that's huge light ray, powerful, potent energy, which you may be feeling. It's very expansive. I highly recommend you get outside at this time. Maybe you don't get as much sun because it's so strong, but get out there in the sunlight, get those photons, because the brilliance of that light is incredibly healing and incredibly nourishing. Also, we are in the month of the wood horse, which activates, it amplifies, it increases the level of the fire horse energy. Additionally, right now, we have a planetary parade. So I'm going to take you up to the screen, up to the actual sky, and I'm going to share with you this incredible planetary parade that is happening. What is a planetary parade? A planetary parade is when many of the stars actually, or planets, seem to line up as if in a row, which is just absolutely incredible. So let's go ahead and go up there now so I can show you what's happening in the actual sky. Right, there we go. Fantastic. And please share, in the comments if you're noticing this high energy. And my energy has been a little bit different because my partner and I are currently doing a sauna purification process. So you haven't been seeing me online as much because I've been spending 2-4 hours a night in the sauna purification, which is a really great thing to do during the time of the fire horse because there's so much heat and light. And so purification is what those two energies can bring. So what's happening in the stars? What's happening astrologically? Well, we have the sun, which again is the symbol of the fire horse, and it is actually very close to the end of Taurus. It's still in Taurus, and it is actually still conjunct Rigel, which is a blue supergiant star, which is literally many times the size of our own sun. And Rigel is known as the billionaire star, found in the charts of Andrew Carnegie, Oprah Winfrey, Gloria Vanderbilt, and many other wealthy people. And so there's a really large focus energetically right now on building wealth, which I find really deeply aligns with the energy of the fire horse. Because one of the big themes that I think a lot of people have around building wealth is the desire for freedom. And the fire horse's key core transmission, invitation, activation is in increasing and activating our sense of personal freedom. That's what the fire horse here is really inviting us to step into. Now, directly opposite Rigel and where the sun is right now is what we call the silver gate of creation. And the silver gate of creation is located near Sagittarius. See right over here. And let's see if we can look it up. So the galactic center. Well, it's right in here. And as you can see, the Milky Way stretching through Sagittarius, Ophiuchus. This is directly opposite where the sun is. And so we have Rigel with the billionaire star, the sun with the billionaire star, directly opposite Rigel, the galactic center. And the galactic center is home to 4 supermassive black holes. It's incredibly powerful because it represents the womb of creation. It represents the dark infinite portal from which all life springs from. So this is a very powerful time. It's a powerful time to set intentions. We just had the new moon on Sunday, which is the most fertile time for setting our intentions. It's when the energy is the most fertile, the most powerful. And then if we want to know more about money and wealth, we can look over here to where Venus, the billionaire planet, and Jupiter, the millionaire planet, are. And they have both just entered into Cancer. And this is a huge change. They were both in the sign of Gemini, which is the sign of communication. It's the sign of networking. It's the sign of marketing. It's a sign of expression and sharing information, communication. Right now, Mercury is still there. So there's still, which is the ruling planet of Gemini itself. And so there is still a really strong call to communicate, to network, to market, and to share your work with the world. Now, because Jupiter, which is an air sign, so a lot of thought, a lot of thinking, it's a mental energy. But Jupiter, which is the millionaire planet, and Venus, which is the billionaire planet, it represents the attractive, pulling in magnetic feminine of wealth, right? That energy of attraction and magnetizing. Cancer is the sign of home and family. It is the sign of emotion. It is a water sign, right? Crabs live in the water. They wear their home on their backs. They wear their shells, right? Hard on the outside, soft inside. They're very protective with their pincher bugs. And so people can feel more sensitive right now about money because Cancer is highly emotional and highly sensitive. Also, the ways in which we may be able to make money right now often revolve around, well, it's a water sign. So we could make money through water, through substances that contain water. Cancer also relates to the ancestry. It relates to the DNA itself. And so we may be tapping into the codes of wealth that come through our DNA, which could be both exciting and healing, connecting to our lineage, to our ancestry, to our DNA. And it also could be a triggering time as we're being asked to look deeper at where we come from when it comes to wealth and making money and finances. And this gets even more amplified when directly opposite the sign of Cancer, we have the planet Pluto over in Capricorn. And Capricorn is the sign of structure. It's the sign of business. It's the sign of success. It's the sign of really making it in the business world. You can see Capricorn's symbol, which is the goat with the tail. And Capricorn has the horns and, the goat, right? The goat being one of its symbols often has the symbology of climbing the mountain of success. Okay, and so Pluto, which is the planet of, let me see that again. Pluto, which is the planet of depth, intensity. It's the planet of hidden, buried, secret things. And interestingly, as we go closer to Pluto here, it's very small. It's one of the tiniest planets, and they call it an asteroid now. They said it's not actually a planet, but astrology perceives it as a planet. And Pluto represents the underworld. So going back to how do we create wealth through, astrology? How do we make wealth right now, Lotus? What's the update? Well, we have the two planets of wealth, Venus and Jupiter, in the sign of Cancer, which is home, which is family, which is nurturing, nourishment, water, comfort. It's ruled by the moon. It has a very emotional, emotive quality. So when we speak from emotion, when we connect to people emotionally, when we connect to people as though we're like a family and we share it's like a bond. That's where the money comes through, nurturing our relationships, nurturing our family relationships, turning our business relationships into family connection, right? All these things are ways in which to increase our income. Maybe it could be a time of inheritance or receiving money from the family or a family member, receiving money because of who you're related to. These are all things that Venus and Jupiter in Cancer could represent. Now, the fact is, though, is that they are both opposite Pluto, and Pluto is retrograde. Retrograde means things from the past. Pluto is the god of the underworld, the god of things buried, hidden, kept secret. It is also conjunct Juno, which is the asteroid of marriage. And so what that can mean, here's Juno right here. Juno represents ways in which, our marriage bond. And so when Juno is with Pluto, it can represent past life marriage bonds, or, if we've ever been married and divorced and we still have stuff with that person, and it's all opposite Venus and Jupiter, it means that our past relationships, especially past marriages, are potentially could be, if there's anything left over from those experiences, any trauma, any pain, any unexplored wounding, that can be affecting our wealth. And then if you look at it deeper and imagine and realize that we are not just who we see in the mirror today, we are the compilation of all of our ancestors. And I was just looking back at a video I recorded where I shared this story. Imagine that we have an ancestor hundreds of years ago who was standing in the street and a carriage drives by really close to them. And they get afraid. They feel scared. They feel like, oh my God, am I going to die? Well, what epigenetics has shown us is that any feeling or emotion that was really strong that our ancestors felt gets stored and logged into the DNA and then passed down generation after generation until it arrives to us. And then let's say we're going through life and all of a sudden we experience fear. Something happens. We experience fear. Is that fear ours, or is that fear coming from the past? And so that's one of the things that I love to work on in my practice. My partner and I love to work on in our energy clearing membership, is addressing core root issues that could be being triggered in your life around making money, around having relationships, around being able to do what you want to do. And 9 times out of 10, 100% of the time, I should say, when clients come to us wanting to work on increasing money in their business, increasing clients, increasing the love in their relationships, that what is in the way typically has much deeper roots, going way back, going back into the DNA, going back into the ancestry, going back into past lives, going back into our childhood, into even times of when we were in the womb. And because the two wealth planets are in the sign of Cancer, which can relate to the mother, it can relate to gestation, being in the womb, it can relate to our mother and father, relate to our ancestry. The single most powerful thing you could do at this time, in what I can see with the astrology, to amplify and activate your wealth, is to work on clearing your DNA, work on clearing your ancestry, especially around money and wealth, because the wealth planets are in the sign of home and family and DNA, and directly opposite Pluto, which is the planet of the revelation. So what has been buried, what has been kept secret, what has been kept hidden in your life, in your lineage, your DNA, and in your past lives, that could be interfering with your ability to create, manifest, and sustain wealth. That is what the astrology is pointing to. And with it being the peak of the fire horse year, the peak of the sun in the northern hemisphere, the month of the wood horse, this is an incredibly powerful time. There's a lot of energy for transformation. There's a lot of power for illumination. What are some caveats? Well, because there's so much heat, because there's so much elemental support for that fire horse energy, there can be overheating, there can be overworking, there can be so much depth of awareness arising with the Venus and the Jupiter aspect that you may feel overwhelmed. So here's the suggestion. Find an energy clearing practitioner, schedule an appointment with me or my partner, or find someone else that you resonate with. Even do some type of meditation on YouTube where you go into the DNA and clear. Because what may be arising could be much deeper than what you're consciously aware of. Another awareness is that if you're drawn to wealth for freedom, to have freedom, what has stopped you or your ancestors this lifetime or any other from being free? And that could also be another area to look at and to clear. If you would like to know more about what myself and my partner do, which if you'd like to come to one of our energy clearing calls, I offer an energy clearing call every Wednesday for women, where I dive deep into the astrology of what's happening, and then we tune into a core theme that astrology is revealing, and we do energy work to clear it. And we've been going really deep on clearing money blocks. I think some of the things we've worked on is trust with money, trusting that it's all going to work out with money. And then recently we started working on clearing blocks to being wealthy. And I was so surprised that almost every woman on the call was at a -10 when it came to being wealthy, around feeling good about being wealthy, because there were so many fears about, well, I don't want to leave people behind, or if I have lots of money, I would feel guilty that I wasn't giving it away. And if I, what people have done with wealthy people have done has been evil, and I don't want to be evil. And so we worked really deeply last week in clearing the blocks around that. And so this week, tomorrow, Wednesday at 1:11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I'm also going to be diving deep with them again around wealth, around being wealthy, around being able to hold the wealth, around being able to attract the wealth, around being able to feel good about wealth. Because they're right. So many challenging things, negative things have been done by wealthy people. And with the sun conjunct Rigel, which is the billionaire star, we could be thinking about this a lot. We could be thinking about, well, I want to be wealthy, but I don't want to be like them, right? So if you are a woman and you would like to join us for free The first time to join the energy clearing call on Wednesdays is free. Otherwise, you can join our membership, get access to it every Wednesday. You'll also get access to a weekly clearing on Monday evening, a new moon call, a full moon call, where we assist you to dive deep and clear your energy blocks. What are energy blocks? Traumas and dramas held in the DNA, held in the energy body, held in the somatic field of the body, that when you bring your focus and your awareness into them with these very specific energy clearing tools, you can release the intensity of it. You can feel lighter, you can feel brighter. After every call, in the Lotus Empress Flow event every Wednesday, all the women say is, I feel so much lighter and brighter. I didn't know this was possible. And that's just such a beautiful thing to share. So if you're interested, if you'd like to know more, leave a comment, send me a message. My name is Lotus Dawn. This is Blossom with Lotus, Energy Clearing Mastery, where we dive deep into identifying the core root cause using the map of the stars of your birth, the exact star alignment of your birth when you were born, to reveal your core wound, to reveal your destiny, to reveal your dharma, what you're here for, what your biggest gift is, how you best serve this world. It gives you so much information, and it also aligns you to your true north, which is also Polaris. The sun is approaching Polaris, the North Star. So this is a great time to find your direction, to follow your inner compass and align to the next steps for 2026, because we're hitting this peak energetic moment. And the question on everyone's mind is, where are we going next? So sending you lots of love, so many blessings. Remember, you are a gift. You are divinely powerful. And when you tune into what your gifts are, which the chart can reveal, and then you share them with the world, the entire universe celebrates. It's like a cosmic party. So join me at the party of sharing your gifts with the world, sending you so much love. Aloha.